Hello, knitting friend. Welcome to my YouTube channel and thank you for finding me and coming here. This is my channel about knitting and tiny bit of crocheting, maybe, and yeah, not much of anything else, so that's what it's all about. So good to see you here. I hope you enjoy, and I hope you have a knitting and maybe a cup of tea or something with you. I have recently been watching so many other podcasts that I can hardly find time for doing my own. And another thing is that in Finland it has been a pitch dark winter, and now we've had a gorgeous sunshiny day. We just came back in. It's already past 3 p.m, which means the light is really dying out, so I hope to get this in before it gets really into the twilight zone. In today's episode we have some Colorwork socks, something about this sweater, then there is a baby cardigan that is ready other than buttons, then there are socks that are basically almost ready, very plain socks, then there is the Frosty Flowers pullover or sweater, and I will put down these kind of I don't know how you call them in YouTube, these kind of time tags, so that if you're interested in just something of them, you can just kind of skip ahead and choose the things that you want to watch. Okay, let's get cracking. Well, first, these Colorwork socks, they're called Lappi Lapland, and they are almost kind of like right underneath the knee, so very long. They're not for me, they're for my a dear family member who misses Finland and wants to see snow. And when I saw this pattern, I thought of her immediately. So these were a joy to knit, and I have a small video about how they look. Just a sec. So here we go. These are the Lappi Lapland socks. I will tell a bit more about them from the pattern magazine, but this is how they look from front and back. And the person who I will be sending these to, and who I was thinking about all the time while knitting these, loves Finnish winter. I really miss her. She has a bit bigger foot size than I do, maybe size or two. And I think because these are a bit loose for me, they should fit her perfect. I hope. And I hope she really likes the reindeers, since she really does love the Finnish winter. Okay, so that's how they look. And the pattern was in a local paper that is delivered to, I don't know, 50% of Finnish homes or something. It's a grocery store chain that then brings out this paper also. And here's the story about the socks. And the designer is called Minttu Wikberg. And then there is a small pattern text, and then the actual pattern. It's free, and it's also free online, so I can actually put I hope to find the link to the electronic version, where if you know how to make socks, you can easily then just utilize the pattern for the image. This was the first time that I was making socks where it's not a repeated pattern all the time. So for example, here in the foot, there's something that you repeat all the time. So you are on a row where you go two blues, 1 yellow, 3 blues, 1 yellow, 2 blues, 1 yellow, or something like this. And it's repetitive and it's really easy to do. But then for this darn long reindeer part, of course, when you start from the center of the back and you start going around, maybe there is a part where you do a bit of the antler, couple of stitches of and the color, and then again you have to mind if there's blue or if there's anything, and it was really, the pattern itself is tiny squares, so even though I had a ruler to kind of follow which row I was on, it wasn't easy. And first when I saw the pattern, I thought of a few of my family members and friends that I immediately thought that, oh, they would enjoy these socks. But then when making these socks were a bit tedious, I thought, well, maybe one pair is enough, and I know just the person who they are going to. I should have already mailed these out. She has her birthday in a couple of days already, and they won't make it there by then, but they will make there a bit later, and hopefully they will be a joy for a longer time than just for the birthday. Okay, and for the yarn, oh, sorry. There's this chain brand called House, and I used their this kind of variegated or semi-solid blue for the blue. In the pattern it calls for a solid blue, but I was thinking that this is more kind of like the Lappish nature. And then I did not use white for the reindeer, I used this gray, and that was 7 Veljestä, Novita. This was the yarn for that. Okay, and the colorway was 47. And for the yellow, I did not go buy a new skein. I used this Hjertegarn's Lima, which is 100% wool. And these all were about 200 meters per 100 grams. And how much I used 150 grams. So if it's 150 gram skein, a full skein of this blue. If it's 100 gram skeins, then 1.5 skein. Then about 75 grams of the light gray. And I used, let me see, 23 grams of this yellow. So that was that for the socks. Okay, then about this shirt. This shirt is called Ruska, the turning of the colors. In English, it's in this Novita. I don't know if you would call this a magazine, even though it's kind of like sold as knitting magazines in the stores. But it has 50 patterns for colorwork yokes, and they're all made for the same 7 Veljestä yarn for the 50-year anniversary. And this one was called Ruska, and the designer is Enikö, Balough, and I love the version that she has here for the colors of it too. It is really beautiful. And here is Enikö. And I chose this yarn that I chose because I wanted to try out this new to me Novita yarn called Icelandic wool. And that's what I used for both green and the yellow. And I liked knitting it, but compared to the Icelandic wool that I've been using, kind of like Lappi, Lappi, and so forth, this is very different. This is kind of, as a wool itself, it's like a bit, in my opinion, a bit softer, but then it feels like as if there was like a mohair strand compared to it, combined to it, but the mohair would be really scratchy. So it's not like these scratchy longer fibers here and there, but it's kind of like a constant rough mohair in this. And it pills quite a bit. I keep pulling stuff out of it, even though it's been made quite recently. I've been wearing it quite a bit though. And I redid the collar because this is top down, and I chose to make it smaller than what the pattern called for. And when it was done, if I didn't have a shirt underneath, it would kind of feel really tight and scratchy, even though normally I don't mind sweaters being that way. And then I just kind of ripped it back so that I went all the way back down to the part where the ribbing is over and the stockinette started, and then redid the collar, but only a couple of rows. So it's just a tiny collar. And I kind of like it now because now, for example, today we were out and I was using it with this kind of long sleeved and almost like a turtleneck shirt underneath, and yeah, so this way I like it. And I also redid the hemline because mine tends to roll up, so I made this. I wonder if you can see if I get up. I made this longer ribbing here, and now it's really a long shirt for me, but it goes a bit under my butt, and I like it because then it's really warm for outdoors. So all in all, it's exactly what I was looking for as the sweater. The yarn I would not choose again for this type of, if I want an Icelandic sweater, I think I go for a Lappi or something like that. It's not bad, but it's not my favorite. And for the pattern, I really like it. This colorwork yoke here is just, I could do it I don't know how many times over, and I think I'm gonna use a different yarn, kind of like more indoorsy type of yarn for the next one, but really like it. So successful sweater for me, definitely something that I will use. Okay, then let's do this. This is the in threes baby cardigan. This is something that a friend of mine had a baby, or relative, and a baby girl, and I really wanted to make something quick, and I found this. Oh, my yellow background is not nice for the pink, but I hope you can see it still okay. This pattern is in Ravelry. It's a paper pattern, and it's really versatile for different ages of kids, and I still need to, it has 3 places for buttons, so I need to, the buttons are up here, so I just need to find a place for buttons. I'm not a button lady. I don't think I still have a sweater that I made maybe 3 years ago. It's a cardigan, and it still does not have buttons on it. So I need to get around doing that. Okay, but anyhow, I made this as, if I remember correctly, I made probably the size 12 months, and with a bit of a thicker yarn and thicker needles, hoping that this would probably last a bit longer. The designer tells that and there's an option in the pattern where you can make this a bit longer, and then that type of a garment might last with some girls years. So check it out if you're looking for girls' cardigans. And what I made it out of is just plain sock yarn, just like Veljestä, 7 Brothers. But this is a chain door brand, similar. So this is 200 meters in 100 grams, so Aran weight sock yarn. And I used 113 grams, which means if it's this was 150 grams skein, so there's about 40 grams left of it. And then I combined it with this alpaca silk to make it soft and have a bit of a sheen. So this is Drops alpaca silk. And this I used about 37 grams of, so it's 25 grams per skein, which means I used about skein and a half of this. So that was that. That was really a quick knit, and so nice to make. I have to see how it fits the baby, and maybe then I can make another one too, to some other babies or whatever. Okay then. I'm lost. This I've shown you before, so if you've been here before and you've seen any of the earlier episodes, you may have seen this one of my absolute favorites already in making. The pattern is called Frosty Flowers. It's from Meiju K-P, a Finnish designer, and Meiju Knits is her tag in the Instagram, and you can find the pattern in Ravelry. I first started this in a bigger size. My bust size is about 100 centimeters, so it's about 40 inches, and so I'm normally something like large, medium large, depending totally how much ease and how do you want it to fit. And first I started this with L plus, so large plus, but it was way too big. I tried it on and it was on this, you could fit kind of there, it didn't look like it was my size. And then I had enough yarn to start another one, so that I started this. I didn't rip back the other one. I had made it all the way down the whole colorwork and then separated for the sleeves, and I had already made something like, I don't know, 4 inches, maybe, not that much, 3 inches of the body, and I left it be. I can add here a picture how then that one and this one are next to one another when I was already making this one. And I got maybe like halfway through the colorwork and I ran out of the dark yarn. And that's when I had to I really tried this on and compared to the other one. And then I decided that no, I'm not going to even keep the bigger one for anything. Because first I thought I might make another sweater to someone else from that. But since I needed the dark color yarn, I ripped it back and I got the yarn to this one. And now I have almost completed the hemline. So I only left it on the cables so that I can keep trying it on. And I've started one of the sleeves. And I don't know if it's the same with you, but if I try a sweater on, when I don't have sleeves on it yet, and I try how long I want it to make, and I finish it, and I, bind it off and everything. And then I make the sleeves. It sometimes with some designs and with some yarns, it feels like once you make the sleeves, it kind of pulls up the sweater, the body of the sweater too. So once the armpits and the sleeves are there, the sweater kind of gets a better construction from higher above. And then it's suddenly not as long as I wanted it to be when I was already finishing the hemline. So nowadays I might even not make the ribbing. I will just leave them on the cable, and once I've done with the sleeves, then I do that. But this time I followed the pattern to the T, made it exactly the length of what it said in the pattern, made the ribbing as it says in the pattern, and then left it on the cable, and now I'll make the sleeves and everything. But this yarn, oh, this is my new favorite, because this is so soft. It smells like sheep. It has a bit of that, is it lanolin, that helps my fingernails have never been this long and this healthy, and my Q-tips and everything. This yarn just takes care of your hands at the same time, and then I just love how it looks. It really is one of my favorites now, and it's not dyed, it's natural colors. So the brand is Finnish brand Vuonue, and the name of the yarn is Pentti, and I believe they have 2 Pentti yarns. This is the villasukkalanka, which means woolen sock yarn, and it has a bit of tencel in it, 30%, and it's a DK weight yarn. It's about 240 meters in 100 grams. It is really, really, really nice. And this one I went about in that way where I first bought the yarn, and then I had to find a pattern, and it was just out of luck that there were some other knitters there, or we were at a knitting camp, and I was like, so normally it goes that way, that you find a DK weight pattern and you don't have the yarn. This time I have the yarn, what do I knit? And then somebody gave me a hint and said Meiju K-P has great DK weight patterns, and I am totally in love with this. Can't wait to get this finished and get to wear it. And it feels so squishy and wonderful already now. Okay, then I'm already laughing because do you know how, particularly at least in Finland and Europe, there has been this these make-alongs or crochet-alongs about Battenberg blankets and some other crocheted blankets. And I am not a crocheter. Please somebody remind me this later too. If I ever again say that, oh, I found this wonderful knitting project, stop me. Stop me. I've told this now to my husband. I said, if you see me with a crochet hook, stop me. I am not a crocheter. Did I say knitting? Crocheting earlier? But I see, this is my trauma. I don't even know if I'm talking about crochet. Crocheting, not for me. If I find a pattern, don't let me do it. Seriously. Oh. We fixed an old like a stroller for dolls that I used to have when I was a kid myself, when I was a little baby. And we were at our summer house and somebody gave us these strollers to my sister and me. And I believe they were made out of wooden fruit baskets or something. I don't know, that was like at the beginning of 70s. And I've never seen wooden fruit baskets like that, but they must have had at that time. And then there are like these, well, I'll put some pictures here because we sandpapered them, or one of them, and then repainted and did everything. And then I realized my goddaughter had her daughter's 1-year birthday coming up, and I said, you know what, to my husband, let's get this done. Let's get this stroller fixed. Let's get this some mattress there, a pillow, a blanket. I will sew. Also not my favorite thing to do. And I went to a fabric store. I can lose lots of money in a yarn store, not so much in a fabric store. That is not my territory at all. But I did find some fabric that I made like a mattress cover from. I found some nice Harley Davidson printed fabric that I made a pillow from. And then a blanket was missing. And that was last summer, and there was like this Battenberg, and it's so easy. Like the Finnish knitting stories, Jana, I will tag her here. I think she was one of the ladies that got this crochet along or make along going. And I remember watching her episode and looking when she was saying something like, oh, this new method of combining these squares once you've done them is so easy and so nice that it's kind of even nicer to put them together than to actually crochet the squares. Not for me. I think I need to look at the blanket, but I think there was like less than 40 squares, and it took me like 2 days to put them together. Oh, not my thing. But yeah, for that I used this Finnish kaupunki, which means city, kaupunki yarn. With they have this line that has this glitter in it. It's called Leikkipuisto. So it's a playground or kids park. And these colors, light pink, lilac. But I'll put some pictures here. But I can promise you, I'm not taking part in any of the make-alongs for those blankets. I don't think my, not even for a baby, but for a doll blanket would cut any of the, get into any of the make-alongs. But been there enough to know what it is to make them. So when I see these podcasts and Instagram posts and whatnots about people making these Battenberg blankets that are for like a king-size bed or queen-size bed, you have my full respect. Whew, that is something. That is totally something that I can't do. Okay, what else? I think there's one thing that I would like to address, and I think it's something that a Finnish podcaster, Päivis Crafts, is, and I think it's not supposed to be connected word. I think it's Päivis and then Crafts. And then she was mentioning this knit along or make along that was where people were making knitted items for Ukraine, both for Ukrainian soldiers and then for Ukrainians living in Ukraine who need more warm clothes. And apparently there is a Facebook group, and I'm not in Facebook that much, so I don't know, I can't get around there. But then she mentioned this other podcast. So if you're in Finland and if you watch Finnish podcasts, this other one, Glamourin Kässäkanava. In Glamourin Kässäkanava, they have this Knitalong, which has a very long Finnish hashtag, neulomalla parempi maailma 1, which in English is knit a better world, number 1. So in any case, long story short, because they are collecting these items, they would have liked to have something like mitts with, so that you have the 4 fingers separated from the others so that it's better for shooting, or hats that have like ear flaps and can fit under a helmet, or collars. And I know that I'm the fastest when I'm making socks. I don't need to think about it much. I just take a yarn and start making. So this week I quickly made a long pair of men's, it's men's large size sock that can fit into a longer boot, and the color is not something that kind of reflects or shows you from distance. And this why I wanted to show you this, they're almost finished. I just need to Kitchener stitch the toes together. Why I wanted to show you this is I would like to also find some things that are similar things that are done on English channels. So I've not come across English podcasts or English make-alongs or English knit-alongs, and it must be because I'm just watching so many of the Finnish podcasts. So if you know of an English podcast or Instagram make-along for Ukraine, I would really like to know about it. So if you can put it down below into the comments, or also if you have information on Ukrainian knitting designers. I have found a couple, and I'm hoping to find some of their patterns and maybe just buy their patterns, even though I wouldn't have time to make items from them, so that we could just support them by purchasing their patterns electronically, and that would give them some resources. So if you know of anything like this, please put some information to me and others down below into the comments. You can also always message me in Instagram. It's the same Leenasday. You can find it there. Just note, if you put a comment into the YouTube channel, and please leave out any direct links to internet, because if you put a link, a URL link to your comment, YouTube tends to clean them out. They're not there after a while. Okay, but yes, I hope you have an excellent weekend. I hope you have a wonderful February coming up. I hope you have moments that you can take for knitting or making, or if you enjoy crocheting or sewing, for those crafts too. And I hope to see you here again. Okay, bye bye, happy knitting.